Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2022 induction ceremony for the Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame. Up here on stage this evening are 6 class of 2022 Hall of Famers and 7 student athletes, and we are certainly just astonished by their accomplishments and so forth throughout their careers here. This is a great night because it gives us a chance to honor the past and also recognize its significance in our present student athletes that are up here on stage. These 6 individuals that are part of this class will join 57 inductees already a part of the Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame. I'd like to welcome all our guests, especially those that have traveled to get here over the course of this Labor Day weekend. This class of inductees is unique. Not only do their graduation years span over 40 years, they represent the best of what it means to be a Hoover athlete and what makes the Viking tradition so special. They have not only excelled during their time at Hoover, they have gone on to excel in education, law, business, coaching, and other leadership roles. This is truly a distinguished class, and it is my privilege to be a part of this evening. Each inductee will be presented by a current Hoover student athlete that is a member of one of the sports that the inductee participated in while at Hoover High School. Before we get started with our presenters, I would like to take a moment to recognize some individuals who are not here with us this evening. Last year, over the course of the year, we had a couple individuals in our Athletic Hall of Fame who have since passed that I want to recognize and have a moment of silence for. The first one is Mr. George Hamilton, class of 2016. Mr. Judd Logan, class of 2018. And also I'd like to recognize Mrs. Susie Hertler Van Vranken, who is instrumental in getting this Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame started. At this time, can we please take a moment of silence in honor of these 3 individuals who have had a positive impact on Hoover High School and its athletic program. Thank you. Our first presenter tonight is senior Dominic Nunziato, son of Tom and Stacy Nunziato. Dominic has participated in soccer during his time at Hoover, lettering his junior year. He has been with our boys soccer program for all 4 years, and this year was selected as one of our team captains. Please welcome Dominic Nunziato to present our first inductee, Mr. Neal Baston, of this evening. On stage with Neal is his son, Jason, who will be presenting on behalf of Neal.
Coach Neil Baasten was a successful boys soccer coach at North Canton throughout Stark County. Born in the Netherlands, Neil came to the United States with his family in 1956. He graduated as class valedictorian from Union Catholic High School and was offered a full scholarship to the University of Notre Dame. Neil graduated magna cum laude from Notre Dame in 1970, married his wife Christine in 1971, and went on to law school at the University of Virginia, where he completed his law degree in 1973. After moving to Ohio in 1974, Neil joined the North Canton YMCA as a volunteer youth soccer coach and soccer board member. He later co-purchased, along with longtime friend and soccer supporter Mr. Joe Caplia, farmland in Plain Township and developed soccer fields now known as the Diamond Soccer Complex. Neil created the Community Soccer Club youth program out at the Diamond facility. In 1987, he created and coached the St. Thomas Aquinas High School Soccer Club team and later was named the head boys soccer coach at St. Thomas from 1988 to 2003. In 2003, he received the Ohio Scholastic Soccer Coaches Association Ron Pinsencham Award in recognition for his demonstrating and promoting positive leadership qualities. Starting in 2006, Coach Baston took over the Hoover boys soccer program. During his time at Hoover, Coach Baston won 3 Federal League titles and 2 district titles. He was recognized as the Stark County Coach of the Year on 6 occasions while at Hoover, including his last 3 seasons. Neil won his 300th match of his career versus Akron Firestone during the 2018 season. He ended his head coach career at Hoover after the 2019 season. His overall record during his 30 years coaching was 322, 169 and 61, and his record as the Hoover head boys coach was 151, 80, 27 in his 14 seasons leading the Vikings.
Thank you, Dominic, and thank you, Mr. Oakes. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who I have not had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Jason Baasten, and I am Neil Baston's son. Most of you know my father as Neil, or Mr. Baston, or Coach Baston, or just Coach, but I have the blessed fortune to call him Dad. I'm joined tonight by my mother, Chris, as well as my sister and my brother-in-law, Mike and Cindy Sabatelli, who traveled from Chicago to be here. On behalf of my family, I wish to congratulate the fellow inductees to the Hall of Fame. Your achievements, accomplishments, and journeys, which I had the pleasure to hear yesterday at the football game, are truly remarkable and inspiring. And to the North Canton Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame and its administrators, I and my family offer our heartfelt gratitude to you for choosing to honor Dad. This award indeed is a beautiful recognition of the culmination of his lifelong passion for coaching. If I asked my dad to order his proudest achievements and highest priorities, I believe my dad would place his children and his family first, and coaching and education a close second. Those are really two versions of the same principle, coaching and education. And then following distantly is his legal career. Now, somewhere in there, God Country and Notre Dame falls in the spectrum, but I'll ask him to tell you where they fall. So you see, the honor that you have bestowed upon him tonight holds greater meaning and significance to him than mere words of acceptance can possibly convey. I assure you that the magnitude of our appreciation will sustain far beyond this evening. I am privileged to be able to present to you my dad's remarks of thanks and his appreciation for what this award means to him. So while I am the voice that you will hear, the words and sentiment of the message are directly his own. I'm honored and grateful to be selected and inducted into the 8th class of the North Canton Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm eager to describe for you what made coaching varsity boys soccer at Hoover High School such a positive experience for me. I coached youth soccer for quite a few years before coming to North Canton Hoover in 2006. Prior to coaching here, when I heard about or read about Hoover soccer in the newspaper, I often thought that would be a good place to coach. People at North Canton Hoover High seemed to believe what I believed, that a successful high school athletic program needs many supportive elements, in addition to having a first-rate coach. These elements include, 1, school district leaders who have positive community interactions. For example, I received numerous supportive messages from Superintendent Galina throughout my term as head coach. 2, an athletic office director and staff who support success with the right equipment, good fields, accurate tracking of students' achievements in academics as well as athletics. 3, coaching staff who are invested in players' overall personal development as well as successful soccer achievement. 4, parents who communicate with coaches in a mutually respectful manner. 5, players who are personally prepared for success and who want to earn respect on and off the field. Now, I'd like to highlight 3 of those areas tonight: fellow coaches, parents, and players. The first area, fellow coaches. It has been my experience that the support, fellowship, and skills offered by fellow coaches are not only helpful, but can also be inspiring and just plain fun. A fellow coach's influence can be irreplaceable. Once you have coached with such an individual, you don't want to experience coaching in any other way. You wonder how other coaches succeed without such a person who makes the job so much easier and so much more enjoyable. I was privileged to enjoy such a relationship at Hoover and previously at Aquinas with Coach Paul Williman. Coach Williman and I coached together at Hoover for my first 8 seasons. It was partially upon reading articles about successful co-coaching that the light dawned on me as to why our partnership worked so well. We had a blend of two different styles that integrated beautifully together. We respected each other's talents, and we each had our own realm of expertise. I was the planner, the strategy guy, the defensive designer, and the offense setter. Paul was the player dynamics observer and intervention specialist. He spoke encouraging words when he saw the need. He directed attention when focus was lacking. He helped players and me laugh at themselves and not take themselves or their mistakes too seriously. I will forever be indebted to Paul for the pleasure of his soccer coaching fellowship and our friendship. The second area, parents. Here's an example of why I believe Hoover parents are exceptional. One evening in 2015, during the off-season, I was watching Hoover players at the Diamond Indoor Soccer Facility. One of the parents, Sean Knox, who was also observing their play, asked me about how I came to be a soccer coach. I mentioned that I started coaching kids in 1980 when my own son, Jason, was in kindergarten, and this meant that I had been coaching kids for 35 years. We had a very pleasant conversation, but I didn't think much more about it. Fast forward to the banquet following the 2015 season. We concluded the presentations for academic excellence and state recognition awards for both the boys and the girls. I said, okay, that now concludes our combined presentations and we'll split the room. A parent spoke up from the audience and said, "We're not done yet, Coach." And I looked with a puzzled look. Yes, we are. The parent said, "Well, not quite, Coach." And then the boys for the team presented me with an impressive engraved acrylic plaque. It read, "Neil Baston, 35 years of coaching excellence," and had this quote from George Halas: "What makes a good coach? Complete dedication." And then it was signed, presented by the 2015 Hoover Vikings soccer team. I was so impressed that a casual conversation with a parent could be taken so seriously by them that it would provoke such a thoughtful gift. It told me that these parents understood how meaningful, how important it was to me to be coaching their kids. The third area, the players. In 2018, it looked like it was possible that I would earn my 300th varsity soccer coaching win at a match against Lake. It was a nice setup. Saturday home game, lots of fans in the stadium, beautiful weather. Yeah, the match was well played, but it was rough. We lost that match 1-0. So our next chance to cross this milestone of mine was the following match at Firestone just a few days later. This was an away game on a school day and with only a few bleachers available for the smaller group of fans. Now, I became very aware, however, of the determination I saw in the players' faces as they worked hard to maintain the 3-0 lead that we had built. At the sound of the whistle at the end of the game, the players erupted in such an expression of glee, just jumping up and down, presenting banners declaring my 300th win, smiling from ear to ear, posing for many photos, and cheering for me. It was so touching to see that they wanted to be the team to make it that 300th win for me. They knew what it meant to me. They wanted it for me. I thought it would be my success that made this a special day for me. Instead, it was the players' show of heart and enthusiasm that made this day special. In conclusion, these three areas that I just highlighted, combined with the other elements that I mentioned previously, provided the framework from which to build a tradition of excellence, as exemplified by my last 3 seasons at Hoover in 2017, 2018, and 2019. What could be a better ending to your coaching career than 3 Coach of the Year awards and a district semifinal win followed by 2 district championships? It would be any coach's dream come true. I don't think I could feel any more grateful for the opportunities I have been given and for all the supporters who helped me along the way. Thank you all for being here tonight to help me accept this honor. And special thanks to those of you, family and friends, who were part of it with me for many years along the way. Thank you and good night.
Thank you to the Baston family, and congratulations to Neal. I do want to say, besides all the accomplishments Neal has had throughout his soccer coaching career, whether it's the 14 years of Hoover or the many years he's coached soccer, the one thing I remember about Neal more than district championships and all the accolades, I was a young assistant principal just getting started. And yeah, there was a situation going on that I needed some legal advice with. It was Coach Baston that assisted with that advice, and I haven't forgotten that to this day. And I am so grateful for his advice, and I'm so grateful that whatever the situation was back then, it did not escalate any further than what it was. So I just appreciate not only Neal Baston, the coach, I also appreciate Neal Baston, the professional and the person. So again, can we give one more round of applause for Neal Baston? Our next presenter is senior C.J. Layman, son of Robert Layman. C.J. has participated in football at Hoover, lettering as a junior. Please welcome C.J. Layman to present our second inductee of this evening.
Kim, growing up in North Canton in the 1960s and 70s, was truly a blessing. From the classroom to the athletic fields, teachers and coaches, all who were committed to making you a better student or athlete. Living on Wise Avenue in the shadow of Memorial Stadium, Kim would ride his bike to the stadium to see what sport was going on that day. Whether it was a track meet, baseball game, or football practice, he always wanted to be close to that sport. As he would chase after foul baseballs, raking the long jump pit, or holding the finish line, he would always look up to the athletes wearing the orange and black NC on their uniform. Kim's first team sport was in midget football, now youth football. There were so many men volunteering their time and energy to the boys playing the game. Men like Ernie Fry, Joe Wells, and Gordon Eby. When Kim was in high school at Hoover High, little did he know at the time he would be playing for the finest coaches, top to bottom in the county. Hertler, Viscount, Nicely, Gross, Tullerchick, Nutt, Long, Borodin, to name a few. Kim was a 3-year letterman in football. His junior year, he started at linebacker and backup running back, leading the team in tackles. This earned him all-league honors by the Canton Repository and the Akron Beacon Journal. His senior year, he was named team co-captain, starting both on offense and defense, leading the team in rushes and tackles. Kim ended his career with 238 tackles, finishing with a 27-3 record in wins at Hoover, once again earning League and Beacon Journal All-District honors. The defense in 1974 under Coach Viscount was one of the best in Hoover High School history by giving up only 37 points in the season. In track, Kim was a 3-year letterman. His main events were long jump, hurdles, and relay team member. He was named co-captain his junior and senior years. His senior year, he led the team in points, resulting in him receiving the MVP award. After graduation, Kim attended West Liberty to play football, but unfortunately received a neck injury that ended his football career. He transferred to Kent State Stark while working part-time for the City of North Canton Parks and Recreation Department. He later became the Director of Parks and Recreation in 1985 and retired from the city in 2007. He then joined the staff of the North Canton City Schools for 12 years in security. He enjoyed working with the students and staff, finding it a very rewarding time. Kim never forgot all the people that helped him in his youth. Once his son Aaron got into sports, he gave back by coaching football, soccer, basketball, and baseball. He would always support organizations like the Sideliners, Greentown Athletic Club, and the North Canton JCs. One of Kim's proudest accomplishments was when he founded the Youth Flag Football League for 8- and 9-year-olds. He served as their first commissioner. Over the years, Kim has received numerous awards in the North Canton community: the North Canton YMCA, North Canton Chamber of Commerce, and the Youth Football League. He was honored by the Ohio High School Athletic Association for his contribution and service. He was also awarded by Hoover High School Football the Unsung Hero Award. Kim is honored to be in the Stark County Amateur Hall of Fame, Stark County Fumble Ball Hall of Fame, and the Stark County Slow Pitch Hall of Fame. In 2012, Kim was very honored to be inducted into the Hoover High School Hall of Distinction. Now retired, Kim enjoys golfing and fishing, as well as traveling with his wife Pam of 45 years. He also enjoys spending time with his son Aaron and his wife Jessica, and his two beautiful granddaughters Harper and Hadley.
Wow. CJ, there was one thing you forgot. Okay, I don't mean to correct you, but I take the garbage out on Tuesday nights. Okay, just so you know. Well, oh man, I'm all messed up already. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Oakes. You know, Mr. Oakes is a great communicator. You know, once you're notified of this great honor, okay, he stays in contact with you, emails, letters, you know, it does a great job keeping you informed. Well, at the end of every letter and every email, it gets, respectfully, we would like you to keep your comments to 5 to 7 minutes. Now, there's a reason for that, because he knew tonight was Ohio State Notre Dame game, and he wants to get home and watch it. Okay, he's not kidding anybody here. Okay? All right. First of all, inductees, it's an honor. It truly is to be here with you tonight. I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life. I know you came here tonight, but I bet you didn't know you came to see a blessed man. I can't believe I'm doing it this early. I was so blessed as a young kid that my mom and dad were able to scrape together enough down payment to buy a house down on Wise Avenue in the shadow of the stadium. 2-block radius, we had 30 kids, so you know how that was. We always had something going in the neighborhood all the time. Baseball, basketball, football, whatever. What a lot of people don't know about me, my first love was baseball. We played it all the time. We'd play catch. We would just do everything. So I could not wait to be a part of a team. Team with uniforms, you know, the hats, the whole shebang. Well, you usually, back then, you really didn't start sports until you were 9 years old. So finally turned 9, here comes the spring. Baseball, you know, ready to go, man. I just want to be on a team. I want to be a part of something special. And I thought, man, I'm one of the better players in this neighborhood. You know, I'm going to be all right. I'll be all right. Plus, one of my best friend's dad was coaching. That's a lock, right? Don't you think so? Well, we tried out. I thought I had a pretty good tryout. Well, then all of a sudden, all my buddies started getting calls. They made teams. Mets, Braves, Giants. My call never came. I didn't make a team. You're going to find this hard to believe, but I cried for 2 days. So when you didn't make the Little League, they call you up and you say, you can join something called the Rookie League. Well, the Rookie League was basically the Bad News Bears, okay? Some guy named Mr. Gulling, and some of you old-timers might know him, Jerry Gulling. Well, if you know him, you know how he was. If you didn't know him, he was a cross between Vince Lombardi and Woody Hayes, okay? He was very intense, very demanding, and a very emotional coach. Well, I thought that's the way you played the game. This is my first coach, the first impressionable coach I had. So while we were out there playing, you only played on Saturdays for 2 hours. You come in, play around, you know. Every single Saturday he kept yelling, run faster, run to first base, run after the ball. Well, I guess you know what the problem was why I didn't make Little League. Because I was very fat. And I didn't run very good. So I was home, and while all my other friends were out on their playing baseball and stuff, there was a couple older kids, junior high kids in the neighborhood. Well, they were out for track. And they would come and they would run in the neighborhood. So I'm sitting out in front of my house when they're across the street, and I went over and said, hey, can I run with you? And, you know, a 14-year-old kid to a 9-year-old, you know what's going to be, you know. Oh, yeah, sure, you can run with us. And they started, I started, I ran about half a block. I was so out of breath and winded, and they were gone. So it ended up I was running by myself all the time. Whenever I could, after school, in the evening, whatever. So one day I'm running up 7th Street or I'm running up Wise Avenue to 7th because that's my route that I used to run. And there was something going on in the stadium. It was a track meet, high school track meet. So went to the gate, came in the gate, went up. You know, I'm 9, barely just, you know, 9.5. And I go into the track meet, and I'm watching all this action going on. Guys jumping over poles, high jumping, long jump, shot put, you know, you got the discus going, runners running. And I thought, man, there's a lot of action going on here. Well, I settled down by the long jump pit, and I was watching the long jump. And they didn't have a lot of help back then. I'm standing there, and a coach called Coach Gross asked me if I would help rake the pit. He goes, do you know how to rake a pit? I said, I'll try. And I learned that you rake the sand into the pit, not out of the pit. So he taught me that right off the bat. But ever since that moment, I fell in love with track. And after that, I started hanging out at the stadium a lot because there was always something going on. You know, where it was football season, I was up there chasing after footballs or running up in the woods when Bill Trumpeter, a great kicker Hoover had, would kick them up into the woods and I'd get them back. Or at the baseball game, they'd hit foul balls. I would chase after the foul balls. You know, everybody says how good it is to be a gym rat. I was the stadium rat. I know it doesn't sound the same, does it? But anyway, that's what I did. And then also, you know, I got to know a lot of the coaches. Coach Larchek would help out. Coach Hertler was coaching baseball. I mean, there were just a lot of, you know, they didn't know me. You know, I'm just some kid hanging around the stadium and stuff. Well, one gentleman I did meet was Dick Miller. And Dick Miller would talk to me, and he would tell me, you know, I would help Dick out stuff, sometimes sweeping up and stuff. And he would tell me about all the great athletes at Hoover. He would tell me about the great things they accomplished and what they did and stuff like that. And it really stuck with me. And it just, I wanted to be a part. I wanted to be a part of it. So, 4 years moving ahead, I'm in junior high. I get to junior high. I've been playing football and basketball long, never played baseball again. And by the time I got to junior high, from that time when I was 9 to 14, I was the fastest kid in my class and in the junior high. And the best thing was I was finally a Viking. So I had we had great athletes in our class and stuff, and we knew we were going to be good athletes in high school if we stuck together. So finally I get to high school, and there's the coaches. I mean, I now argue to my death that we had the best coaches of anybody in the county, if not the state. You know, CJ named them off and stuff. Coach Talarchek, Coach Nutt, Coach Mel, Coach Raddick, Coach Talarchek. I don't know, I'm running around here. Coach Gross, of course. I owe so much to him. And, of course, Coach Roger Viscount and Gordy Nisley. Couldn't ask for the best coaching staff around. And they did, you know, And I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. They chewed my rear end when I needed it and shook my hand when I did something good. But last but not least is the man that put it all together, and that's Coach Hertler. Now, you've been around North Canton, everybody knows what Coach Hertler has accomplished and everything he's done and stuff like that. Well, a lot of things people don't know about Coach Hertler. You know he was a great football coach, genius and offensive mind and stuff. But Coach Hertler was so far ahead of the times. Now, this is the 70s I played in, okay? Well, he, you know, the last couple 10, 15 years, everybody says, oh, pay it forward. Let's go ahead and pay it forward. Don't forget to pay it forward, everybody. Mr. Hertler was doing that back in the 70s. He was always reminding us about the sideliners, the Greentown Athletic Club, the Elks, the JCs, the Rotary. Everybody was contributing to the athletes and the kids in North Canton. He never let us forget it, and he said, don't forget it. Don't forget it in the future. So, thanks, Coach. So of course, when you have coaches, you got to have players. And I had some of the best teammates there were. Our senior year, our defense only gave up 47 points in 10 games. It was the best of all Mr. Hertler's coach, or all the years that he was at Hoover. We had the best defense. We had pretty good offense, too. Our class ended up 27-3. And it was a total effort between the coaches, players, and everyone else. And, you know, some of the players I played with were, you know, just, they were great people, but they were really good teammates and stuff. Tim Matthey, Jeff Shaffer, I know some of you might know him and stuff, Brad Baker, Bobby Mitchell, Tim Staley. You know, there were just so many, and I don't mean to skip over anyone, but they were just really great teammates and to be on a team with. Now, after Mr. Hertler went ahead and retired, we got another great coach in North Canton, Ed Glass. Well, when Ed moved to North Canton to be a coach, he was my neighbor. So he got going, he had the program, boom, 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 moving right along. Well, one night I'm out in the yard with my son Aaron. We were playing catch. Ed Glass comes over, started talking. What are we talking about? Of course, football. We started talking about it used to be called midget football, and now it's youth football. And he's saying, our numbers are down, we're competing, you know, we're having to put teams together to compete in North Canton. Well, it was a simple fact that we were losing kids because of the influx of soccer into the United States. The YMCA was starting to, 1 and 2, first and second grade, we're starting soccer. We were losing kids to soccer. So Coach Glass was talking to me, and after he left that night, I started thinking, why can't we do something? Well, how are we going to get these young kids back in the program? Well, I was playing flag football at the time. I thought, why can't young kids play flag football? That night I stayed up, tried to put something together, talked to Coach Glass, talked to Coach Hertler, approached the league. Everybody was on board. We started it up. The first year we had flag football, we had 125 kids out. So I'm really proud. And then the Y started it with a national program, and then the NFL, I'm not saying that I did it. I mean, it might have been somewhere else. But the NFL incorporated into their part of their Play 60 program. So that's kind of how that all got started. Now, everybody's asking to know me, the orange jacket. The orange jacket, we used to wear it in the 70s on Friday game days. Okay, this is what we wore, shirt, tie, okay? And we knew what it stood for, all the sacrifices we made, all the hard work, the lifting, the running, and everything else. And it meant very, very much to me. Well, when I was serving as recreation director for City of North Canton, a lot of the school teams, softball especially, and also baseball, would play on city fields. Well, I would have to set up the scheduling with the athletic department. So one day, I had a scheduling meeting with the AD, and I pulled in the parking lot at the high school. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I see this big mound of orange. And I said, I know that color orange. And I look over, and here's a custodian pushing a big container across the parking lot with all the coats in. I parked the car, walked over to him, said, well, what's going on? We're running out of storage. We need to get these out of here. They're old and don't mean anything. Well, I went in and had the meeting, going through my mind, I can't believe this, and I had another meeting at City Hall, so I went there. And after that meeting, I came back to that dumpster, and I went through that dumpster, because I knew my jacket. This is my jacket. I wore it my senior year. And you say, how, and there was over 100 jackets. How did I know that this was my jacket? Well, on Fridays, especially game day, I used to chew grape gum. And I would chew it, and I'd keep it in my pocket. Well, one game it melted, one day. So it melted and left a mark on the inside of the jacket. So I knew my jacket, so I went through and got that jacket out, and I took it home. And now, if you come to Hoover, you all know you love to chew up and spit out anything purple around here, right? So that's one thing that, I always thought that but that's what the jacket meant. But you think about it. Think about the odds of me pulling in that parking lot just as that custodian is getting ready to dump those jackets. What are the odds? 10 seconds, I would have never known. 10 seconds, they were all gone, and I'd never known. So, I'm blessed, truly blessed. I know a lot of you think it's just a jacket. It's a lot more to me. Okay, just finishing up here. Mr. O, I wanted to thank you very much. Thank you for not turning my mic off tonight. Thank you for everything you put together for the weekend, for all the inductees and stuff. And to your staff, Lou Ann Smith and Megan Constantino. To my wife, Pam. Thank you for understanding me and my love for Hoover all these years. I love you. To my son, Aaron, my granddaughter, Harper. They came in all the way from New Jersey to be here tonight. Thank you so much. I love you. Now to the selection committee. You have no idea what this means to me. No idea. From that fat little 9-year-old to make it on this stage. So thank you for letting this old Viking just shine one more time tonight. Thank you.
As I was telling Mr. Cooksey's wife tonight, I don't know if I've ever called him Kim. When I first met him, it was because of his son. His son was my first basketball class that I coached here back in the 1998-1999 season. And you talk about a supporting pair of parents, that was Mr. and Mrs. Cooksey. And then later, as an assistant principal, I had the honor and privilege to work with him as he was our security guard here at Hoover High School and just did an amazing job. In fact, two of my colleagues back there know that anytime he wore a tie, and it's not Tuesday, Kim, anytime he wore a tie, our former principal, Mr. Pauly, would get on the radio and go, Cooksey, can you take the trash out door 22? Thank you. Cooksey, tonight you are not taking the trash out. All right, I'm proud of you as not only a father, or as not only alumni, but I'm proud of you because you're a friend. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Kim Cooksey. Our next presenter this evening is Anna Jones, daughter of Ryan and Laura Jones. Anna is a member of our softball program, where she has received 3 varsity letters and played a key role in our Lady Vikings team that advanced to the state Final Four last season. Please welcome Anna Jones to present our 3rd inductee of the evening.
Jessica Simpson Lawn is a 2008 graduate of Hoover High School, where she competed in softball. Jessica was a member of the 2006 and 2008 state championship teams. She was named Ohio Gatorade Player of the Year in 2007 and the Ohio High Magazine Player of the Year in 2008. She was first team All-Federal League all 4 years of her career, first team All-State in 06, 07, and 08, and she was named Federal League Player of the Year in 06, 07, and 08 as well. Jessica finished her pitching career at Hoover with a 0.36 ERA and 784 total innings pitched. She still holds the Ohio high school softball record for career shutouts with 69. Jessica went on to play softball at Miami University, where she finished her career owning Mid-American Conference records in wins, innings pitched, and shutouts. She also ranked 2nd in complete games and strikeouts. While at Miami, Jessica was a 2-time All-Region selection, 2-time MAC Pitcher of the Year, and 2-time Miami Female Athlete of the Year. Jessica currently holds the career records at Miami for wins, appearances, games started, complete games, innings pitched, shutouts, and strikeouts. She was inducted into the Miami University Hall of Fame in October 2017. Jessica currently resides in Canton, Ohio with her husband Scott Lawn and her son Wes.
Not sure how I feel about following Mr. Cooksey. I did take the 5-minute threats very seriously, though. So thank you, Anna. I'm very honored to be here tonight as a part of the Hall of Fame class of 2022. So thank you so much for selecting me, and congratulations to my fellow inductees. I would like to start just by thanking the community as a whole. North Canton was a really great place to grow up. Always had excellent teachers, coaches, lots of opportunity. And as we all know, I think the support for Hoover sports is unmatched. Back in my day when we played on Price Park, the city fields, lots of fond memories there. Really grateful I didn't play outfield, lots of goose poop out there. But one of the really cool things about playing there was we'd always see the regulars lining up along the fence, bringing their folding chairs and sitting down. And of course, I'll always remember the amazing send-offs and riding the fire trucks after, winning a state championship. And all the community support just made this a really fun and meaningful experience for all of us. So there's one coach in particular who I definitely need to thank, and that would be Jerry Goodpasture. I don't think you can think of Hoover softball without thinking of Mr. Good and the legacy that he's built here. So I feel really lucky that I just happen to live in a community with the best pitching coach in the state, and that I just responded really well to his methods. He built a really, really great foundation for me that not only led to a successful high school career, but a successful college career that most importantly was injury-free, which is probably my biggest flex. Myself and the softball program as a whole are just really lucky to have you, so thank you. Also need to shout out to my teammates. I don't know what was in the water around 1990 in North Canton, but there were 10 of us on the softball team in my graduating class. 8 went on to play in college, 5 of us going D1. So that's pretty cool. Definitely contributed to winning a couple state championships. Many of us played together since elementary school and then continued to play against each other in college, which again, I think was a really cool experience for all of us. It was just a really great group of players and parents, and we had a lot of fun together. And again, winning state championships was just kind of icing on the cake. Lastly, I want to thank my family. My parents aren't here because they're watching my 2-year-old, who would otherwise be terrorizing everybody here. But they were the best support system I could have asked for. Definitely could not have had success without them. My sisters, who got dragged to softball events against their will for most of their childhoods, but I am grateful to them regardless for putting up with that. And then lastly, my husband, Scott. Even though you weren't here for any of the years I was playing, I do appreciate you being excited for me and tagging along to this with me. And thank you so much. Again, thanks to the committee, and I appreciate it.
One thing I can say about Jessica, and I try to share this with more and more parents of student athletes currently around today, is this. You know, her accomplishments here at Hoover and at Miami University are truly amazing. We would want that for any one of our children. But what I admire most about anything is just the mother and the family person she has become as well too. And again, one of the things we try to do with student athletes is obviously we want them to get that education first and foremost. We want to teach them life skills and life characteristics as we go into the future. And she's an absolutely perfect role model for what it takes of being a family person as well as just an amazing athlete here at Hoover High School. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if we could give a round of applause one more time for Jessica Simpson Long. Our next student speaker tonight is senior Noah Johnson, son of Mike and Danielle Johnson. Noah is a multi-letterman in cross country and track and has qualified in the past for state competition in both sports. Please welcome Noah Johnson to present our fourth inductee.
Alex Ramsey is a 2004 graduate of Hoover High School and was a first-team All-Ohio performer in track, wrestling, and football, notably earning these distinctions for each sport his senior year. In track, Alex was a key component on Hoover's 4x800 meter relay team throughout high school. During his 4 years, the relay placed in state 4 times, the highlight of which was his junior season where the relay was crowned state champion, broke the state record, was the fastest time in the nation, and earned All-American distinction. Individually, Alex was a 3-time state placer in the 800 meters with the best finish of 4th his senior year. He also set the former school record in the 400 meters and was a member of the record-setting 4x1600 meter relay. While wrestling for the Vikings, Alex won 100-plus matches, was a 3-time team captain and a 2-time state qualifier, and placed 6th in the state his senior year. Alex was a varsity member of the Viking football team during the 2001 to 2003 seasons. Each of those years, the team saw postseason play, and in 2002 and 2003, won the Federal League title. Alex worked his way up as a member of the special teams unit his sophomore year, to leading the team both in rushing yards and tackles his senior year, with the team going 10-0 in regular season play, the first team to do so since 1975. His senior year effort earned him the 2003 WHPC Stark County Player of the Year. Academically, he was a member of the National Honor Society. As a youth, Alec began his athletic pursuit playing flag football through Greentown Athletic Club and participated in youth wrestling. He was drawn to competition and the opportunity to be a part of a team. He attributes his success and passion to his coaches, teammates, and family. Because of these successes, an athletic scholarship to the University of Cincinnati was granted for participation in track and field. As a Bearcat, he was an all-conference performer in the 800 meters and the 4x800 meter relay, a 2-time team captain, and the recipient of the Gene Steffens Memorial Student Athlete Award. After college, Alex developed a love for ultra-distance running. In 2015, he placed 3rd in a transcontinental event, Race Across the USA. This 3,080-mile journey started in Huntington Beach, California, and ended at the White House. Throughout the race, he ran a total of 120 marathons in 140 days. The experience was highlighted by speaking to schools along the route about health and fitness. In 2018, Alex participated in the Sri Chinmoy 10-day race, completing 581 miles. Alex continues to participate in fixed-time races and recently was ranked as a top 5 runner in North America for the 24-hour race with a mileage of 129.5 miles. Next up on his racing itinerary is the Spartathlon held in Greece later this month, during which an international field of runners will run a 153-mile distance from Athens to Sparta. Alex will be one of the 25 runners representing the USA. Alex has shared his athletic knowledge and experience by coaching wrestling, cross country, and track and field. He has led teams to winning seasons and players' personal bests. When Alex is not running, he is a marketing analyst for academic partnerships and enjoys being in nature, reading, and spending time with family.
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing tonight? Thank you so much for being in attendance, and I want to say thank you so much to the selection committee for giving me this opportunity, this platform in which to share with you my individual experience. Before I continue into that, I do want to say congratulations to all the inductees. It is an absolute honor to be in this front row with y'all and to hear about your accolades. So much of the accolades that we talk about are just the surface level, and many people never see the countless hours that are dedicated to the practicing and the mental preparation that it takes to perform at the highest level. So I appreciate that and know that this is a very special place to be. To start into my story, I think the best place to start is where I grew up. As I made mention, the surface level of results, matches won, football games won, touchdowns scored, are accolades, but what is the makeup that actually produces that type of production and gives you the confidence to be able to perform at that level confidently? And my story started in a single-family home in the 90s, right behind what was formerly Kmart. I'm not really quite sure what it was, in a government Section 8 duplex where my mom raised my sister and I on a very tight budget. Within that household, I spectated my mom working numerous jobs, spending more than 40 hours, maybe even closer to 80 hours, and the dedication that she had to making sure there was food on the table, heat in our place, and just making sure that my sister and I had all the basic necessities, what left a strong impression on my mind as a young person. So much that the work ethic that my mom emulated day in and day out made a huge impression upon me. However, not having that father force in the household definitely kind of left me as a kind of a rebellious child, if you will. I don't see any of my elementary teachers here, but I consider them all to be saints. I can say this now, but I really did have a very tough time with concentration, with staying focused, and not pulling the cute girl's hair next to me in class as I was attempting to learn math. Mom saw that maybe the best way to channel my energy would place me into athletics. Now, my mom really didn't grow up with an athletic background. In fact, she had more of a music background, where she graduated from Louisville High School, and she played the clarinet. So I didn't grow up in the traditional watch football on a Sunday or, root for the Indians. I didn't know anything about sports until about 3rd grade, but I was still in the neighborhood playing with various friends until nightfall. This was prior to social media, so it was a little easier to go outside and get involved in the community. But I remember that first exposure that my mom gave me to youth wrestling in the 3rd grade, and the impact that it gave me. I want to shout out And rest in peace to Coach Bob Thorne. Coach Bob Thorne was absolutely incremental in making sure that I saw myself as somebody that could channel my energy into something productive, and also showed me that other kids in the community were doing the same. And as a very vulnerable person at 8 years old that really didn't have a father figure in the house, I was very vulnerable to the messages that were coming in to older people in my community. And when I was talked about when I was talked to about leadership and working hard, these things really stuck because I saw it play out in the home with my mom. Now, I also want to give a shout out to my sister, who is also here, who is an extreme prolific athlete in her own right, being an All-American selection in track and field. So not only was it me that witnessed my mom in doing what she did to make sure that we succeeded, but my sister was also a benefactor. Continuing along into middle school, it was also rest in peace to the great Coach McElroy, who helped me see that running wasn't a discipline, but it was actually a vocation in which to celebrate movement and introduce me to the thrill of the race, which for Noah, who introduced me, I think you understand that very intrinsically. There's something special that touched my life in that way that I was able to bring it out, and another legendary coach saw that in me as well. Rest in peace to Coach Clegg. Coach Clegg worked in my life in monumental ways by showing me as an 8th grader that there was bigger stages that I could perform on. But it was also coaches that are actually in the building right now that also played such a pivotal role in my life. And I want to just give a shout out to the Fosnite family for being extremely influential in my life at the Greentown Athletic Club. As Mr. Cooksey so rightfully introduced Don Hertler Sr., making mention that the importance of these platforms like the Sideliners and Greentown Athletic Club existed. You know, I'm a byproduct of those systems that put us through. They would give us our helmets for the first time, our shoulder pads, and practice was like going to the Super Bowl for us, you know. But it was the Fosnite family that, you know, saw a little guy, and I really appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank you. You know, of course, they were also doubling as my football coaches, and during that time, you know, football also was a very big inspirational moment for me. And that's when I was introduced to the coaching staff at Hoover, led by Coach Don Hertler Jr. And he saw in me something very special as well. I think he first saw the spark plug that was in me, that maybe needed to be toned and trained to actually be a bit more productive on the field and supportive of teammates. And that was a very important lesson for a young 8th grader to learn, is the importance of the team. And I made mention earlier that I was extremely impressionable during those times, and he was able to bring that out to me and funnel that towards the success that we had on the football field. Thank you, Coach. Coach Travis Ackerman has provided me such an opportunity to continue to celebrate my love for running, and aspired in me something special on what many of us just see as like one lap around the track. Okay, that's kind of boring. But he instilled in me a deep passion and a love for the sport that would allow me to open doors that were once closed. He also gave that opportunity to my teammates, and we had opportunities to cross finish lines and celebrate in races that to continue to this day to be sources of tremendous inspiration. You know, I'm up here really because a lot of my teammates, you know, believed in me, and I was on many a team that did some really truly amazing things. So I'm indebted to each of those team members. You you know, I'm just very fortunate and honored to have had and contribute just my small little portion, you know, through across football, wrestling, and track. You know, I think, well, it should be about 70 of us up here. That's how I truly feel, and having that opportunity to celebrate and call these teammates brothers and now lifelong family members is just a true honor. And it all started here in this community, and it all started with my mom, that you was relentless, you know. So I love you so much, Mom. I love you so much, Liz. I love you, grandparents. And I just thank you so much for believing me, this community, and all the countless hours that nobody saw. It was because I wanted to do you all proud. So I love you all very much. Congratulations, and thank you.
One thing Alex mentioned was work ethic, and thank you, Mom, for giving him his work ethic, but also Alex's drive. 120 marathons in 140 days? Are you kidding me? I'll make a comment. You'll never see me run a marathon in my life. I might not even make it to a marathon gas station ever again. But again, I cannot, I cannot say thank you to Alex for that work ethic, for that drive, and just, I'm so proud of what he has accomplished, not only here at Hoover, at the University of Cincinnati, which has a special place in my heart as well too, but also as a man. So Alex, thank you very much. One more round of applause for Mr. Alex Ramsey. To present our next inductee, we would like to welcome two of our senior tennis players, Angelina Coinaglu, daughter of Nick and Maria Coinaglu, and Claire Wood, daughter of John and Lisa Wood, are both three-year lettermen in tennis and are both captains of our tennis team this season. Please welcome Angelina and Claire to present our fifth inductee of this evening.
Good evening. Ryan Shafer graduated in 1967 from Perry High School, where he captained the football and baseball teams. Ryan received a football scholarship to play at Minnesota State and later graduated with honors from Grove City College. He received his master's degree from the University of Dayton. In 1974, Ryan began his career in education at Malvern High School, where he taught history for 35 years, while also coaching football, basketball, and baseball. From 1975 through 1988, his baseball teams had record of 233 wins and 114 losses, winning 19 various championships. By the late 1980s, Ryan's coaching interest transitioned into tennis. During his time, he became an avid player, earning certification from the United States Professional Tennis Association and the Professional Tennis Registry. Since then, Ryan has served as head girls coach at St. Thomas Aquinas from 1988 to 1999, head men's coach at Malone University from 1990 to 1995, before finally arriving as the head girls and boys coach at Hoover from 2003 to present. In 55 seasons, his teams have amassed a record of 993 wins and 166 losses. This overall career total places him second all-time in Ohio history, while his 576 victories as a girls coach alone is number one all-time. According to the National Federation of High Schools records, he is the fifth winningest girls coach in the country. Ryan's high school teams have reached the state Final Four 6 times, including 1996 when his St. Thomas team won the Division II state team championship.
In 2013, his Hoover girls were state runner-up in Division I, and the Vikings were third in 2015. The Hoover girls and boys have won a combined 17 Federal League championships, and in his 19 years at the school, never finishing lower than second. Individually, 71 of his players have qualified for the OHSAA state tournament, including a 2-time state singles champion, 3 state singles runner-ups, and a doubles runner-up. 41 of his players have earned All-Ohio status. Ryan has been honored as National Federation of High Schools, NFHS, Girls Mideast Region Coach of the Year, NFHS Ohio Girls Coach of the Year, NFHS Ohio Boys Coach of the Year, United States Professional Tennis Association Midwest Coach of the Year, National Association of Intercollegiate Athletes, NAIA, Great Lakes Region Coach of the Year, and the NAIA District 22 Coach of the Year on 3 occasions. He has also been selected 20 times as Federal League Coach of the Year and 31 times as the Stark County Coach of the Year by the Stark County Coaches Association and/or the Stark County Tennis Coaches Association. In 2020, the OHSAA honored Ryan with their Sportsmanship, Ethics, and Integrity Award. Ryan was inducted into the Aquinas Hall of Fame in 2007, the Ohio Tennis Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2011, and the Malvern Hall of Fame in 2015. In addition to all of his accomplishments, he has served as an inspiring role model to everyone in his life, including Claire and myself.
Believe it or not, this is one of the first speeches I've ever written. Usually I just pray, step to the podium, and speak from my heart. I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees and the past inductees that are here. Give a special thanks to the selection committee, the administration, the Hoover Athletic Department, and to my colleagues. I'd like to thank all my family, my friends, parents of former players, my former players who have come out from out of town, my assistant coaches, for everything that they've done for me. I could stand up here really for hours, as Coach Hertler knows, telling you funny stories, anecdotes about players and teams, and about all the people who have helped me. As I humbly accept this honor, I had to narrow it down. After all, the Buckeyes are playing. As I humbly accept this honor, as I said, I'd like to honor my dad by sharing his favorite psalm. This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us give thanks and rejoice. These were the words that he truly tried to live his life by, especially in his later years when he had the time. These weren't the only words that were strongly impressed on me. There were many others. From my youngest days, he taught me, do what has to be done, when it has to be done, as well as it can be done, and do it that way all the time. He also showed me by his example that no matter how humble your beginnings, you can be as successful as you want to be. You talk about a tough old school guy, he was it. He made Mike Ditka look like a choir boy. In accepting this, I want to share this honor with my high school and junior high coaches. They did more for me than I could ever express. In grade school, I had ADHD. Of course, nobody knew what that was. Nobody treated it with medication. What they treated it with was the Board of Education. It was a miserable experience. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't focus. I had trouble learning, and I couldn't understand why. I became a frustrated, angry, humiliated little boy. Organized sports became my savior. I might not have been able to read Jack and Jill went up the hill or count to 100, but by God, I could hit a baseball, throw a baseball and a football, run faster, and kick better than most. My coaches encouraged me and praised me. This was like giving drugs to an addict. I was so starved for that, I don't know what you want to call it, positive influence. I'd do anything for those guys. It's amazing. The more they complimented me, the harder I drove myself. The more effort I gave, the more I succeeded, the better my attitude got about everything. Life, even school. These guys built my self-esteem and confidence. It made me feel good about myself. They taught me a process by which I could use to my advantage. Sound familiar? Every program I've ever coached at has been built on 3 principles: effort, attitude, and process. I think my teams are a good example of what those 3 things can do for a group of young people. I love these guys. They're the reason I became a coach and a teacher. I not only love sports, but they made me want to do for others what they had done for me. I also want to thank 2 of my mentors. I had many. Ed Wolf and Rich Hagan. They got me involved in the Ohio Tennis Coaches Association, first as a board member, which I've served on for over 25 years, then as an officer, and then as the organization's president. They even conned me into taking the position as the clinic director for the annual coaches convention. Most guys only did it for a year or 2 because it was a tremendous amount of work putting it all together every year. I did it for 23 years. My main duty was bringing in the best coaches, players, and tennis teaching pros that I could find from around the country. I got to know many of these people on a personal basis, and they became a tremendous resource for me and for my teams. I spent a lot of hours not just listening to them with their on-court presentations, but taking them to the airport, bringing them back from the airport, picking their brains along the way, having dinners with them, or late-night drinks in the hotel lounges where we held our conventions. I got to learn from some of the best. I want to express my love and gratitude to my family. I have 3 wonderful sons who've done nothing but make me proud of them their entire lives. I have 3 beautiful daughters-in-law and 8 grandchildren, including 2 sets of identical twin boys, Jack and Sam, who are 17, and Cade and Dean, who are 10 months old. How lucky can a guy get? I especially want to recognize my Hall of Fame wife, Joni. I fell in love with her the first time I saw her. We've been married 52 years despite my repeated efforts to screw things up. She's put up with and supported my passion and obsession with what I love to do. She's the best wife, mom, and grandma that we could ever wish for. Thank you for the life you've given us. I love you. Finally, I want to thank my players. The ones in attendance tonight, past and present, are here to represent all the men and women I've been lucky enough to coach over the years. So many special people, so many wonderful memories. I'm proud of all of you and proud to be your coach. Proud of your accomplishments, proud of the people you have become. Thank you for letting me be a part of your lives. Whether or not I have impacted you is for others to decide. But I know you've impacted me. You've treated me with dignity and respect and appreciation. If I were to die today, after leaving this place, I would have felt like, because of you, that I've lived a worthwhile life. I love what I do. I love the people I teach. I love coaching. Thank you for everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Coach Shafer is currently sitting on 993 victories as a head tennis coach. And he's on the grasp of just an amazing accomplishment. But what's even more amazing is exactly what he mentioned. Husband, father, educator. All right, being a new AD, I have had great conversations with Coach Shafer. His lessons and some of his stories are just truly have sunk in. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, he's just a first-class individual, which represents exactly what we want Hoover High School, North Canton community, and the North Canton City Schools to be. So Coach Shafer, thank you for who you are. And let's give Coach Shafer one more round of applause. Our final student speaker this evening is senior Jordan Palmer, daughter of Daisy Palmer. Jordan is a three-time letterman on our wrestling team. Jordan qualified for state competition last year, finishing 8th at the state tournament. Please welcome Jordan Palmer to the podium this evening and present our final inductee.
Dan Willaman is a 1984 graduate of Hoover High School. Dan began wrestling at an early age at Coach T's YMCA wrestling camp. Some of his many accomplishments during his high school career were two-time sectional champion, two-time district champion, three-time first team Federal League, three-time first team All-County, two-time team MVP, and one-time Stark County MVP. In 1982, Dan placed 5th in the state tournament and was a two-time state champion in 1983 and 1984. Dan received a full scholarship to Arizona State University, however, redshirted during his first year. He then transferred to Edinboro University of Pennsylvania to continue his wrestling career. In 1986, Dan suffered an ACL tear. After a year of rehabilitation, hard work, and determination, he became a Division I All-American by placing 4th at the NCAA National Tournament in 1988. Dan graduated from Edinboro in 1989 with a bachelor's in comprehensive business administration with a minor in history. Dan returned to North Canton and became an assistant wrestling coach under Coach T for 1 year. In 1990, Dan was inducted into the Stark County Wrestling Hall of Fame. Dan then went on to Ohio University as an assistant wrestling coach, where the team won several MAC championships. He earned a master's degree in athletic administration and his teaching certificate from OU. Dan returned to North Canton, where he taught history and was an assistant wrestling coach at Jackson High School. He currently resides at Garrett County, Maryland, with his wife and 10-year-old daughter, where he teaches business and personal finance in high school to high school students. In addition to his achievements in wrestling, Dan is an avid whitewater kayaker.
Sorry, I need to get my glasses. I was afraid I'd have to go last. These guys did great. I can't live up to those speeches. Those were awesome. My goal for the next 5 minutes, maybe less, is to not embarrass myself. But I also want to mention, Jordan, I only met you tonight. I think you're amazing. I think you're an inspiration and a trailblazer. I hope you stick with it, and best of luck. Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is an honor. I was kind of surprised. I thought when I quit wrestling in the 90s that these things were over. So obviously, a pleasant surprise and an honor. I hate public speaking, and I actually thought about kind of finding an excuse to ditch this. But I have way too many people to thank, so here I am. Wrestling is an individual sport, but my accomplishments couldn't have been done by myself. I had a lot of help along the way. Also, keep in mind, 1984 was a long time ago. I think it's 38 years, check my math. And I was dropped on my head a lot during practice, so I might forget somebody, and if I do, I'm very sorry. First, I'd like to thank my wife, Lori, and my daughter, Marina. They're down here in the front row. Of course, they didn't know me back then, and that's probably a good thing. I've been told I was a little bit irritable and a little bit too focused on things. Back then, wrestling was my life. Of course, now my family's my life. Thanks for everything that you do for me and all your support. I love you both so very much. One little side note, my daughter's 10, almost 11, and when my body feels up to it, we wrestle. And you might be surprised to know I have never won. She is undefeated in our household. She is the champ. She's undisputed, undefeated. Thank you, kid. Next, I need to thank my parents, Dan and Sally, and my sister, Kelly. The amount of support and sacrifices they made for me it's hard to imagine. They came to every match, of course. In high school, they drove me to tournaments and open gyms and practices all over the state, all year round. When it came to college, the distances got even further. My parents were active in the booster club, and my mom even became a statistician. My mom prepared special meals because I had to watch what I ate. Wrestling was not only just my sport, I think it was our family sport. And I want to thank you so much for that. The one thing my mom would never do is my laundry. When I came home from my first practice and she saw how sweaty and gross my my gear was, she took me downstairs and taught me how to do laundry. Thanks for that, Mom. I really appreciate it. Also, I wouldn't have accomplished what I did without the help of my teammates. We had some amazing teams. When I was a sophomore, we were second in the state. We had 2 state champions, C.J. Mears and John Bennett, and a lot of other guys placed. Watching those guys work out, how hard they trained, it was an inspiration. I was a sophomore, and I looked up to those guys. They were my role models, especially C.J. C.J. was a great role model. He taught me a lot. Can't go into all the details on the things that he taught me, but he taught me a lot of big words, too. I also got to thank my workout partners. There were a lot of them, but specifically Tom Fosnight, Rob Tharp, Mike Ocker, and Brian Dolph. Like I said, there was many, many others. They pushed me to be my best. Another advantage we all had, is our wrestling alumni. We had older kids, graduates, come back into the wrestling room and share their knowledge and experience with us. I think, like I said, I just think that was an advantage that a lot of other people didn't have. There were also a lot of people behind the scenes, such as our wrestling booster club and our mat stats. They worked very hard, did a lot of things to help the team behind the scenes. Like I said, it was a lot of time and effort for them. And I think in a lot of cases they did these things at their own personal expense. I especially wanted to thank the Bennett family. They prepared our pregame meals. To this day, soup is one of my favorite foods, and theirs was delicious and nutritious. And I also remember that at that time, teams didn't do that. Everybody was on their own. I remember other teams watching us all sit down for our meal, and they were definitely jealous. But yeah, so thank you. Finally, I had the privilege of the greatest coaches. There was Warren Wise, who gave me good foundational skills when I was in middle school. Later on in high school, Ed Glass, he offered me great advice, and he was a very calming presence. There was Don Burgoon, who took me under his wing, taught me a lot of advanced techniques. He was like a big brother to me. But of course, most important, Coach Walt Talarchek. Coach T is one of the most knowledgeable men I know when it comes to wrestling techniques and strategies. He could break a move down into the smallest little chunk, and he would go over it until you had it. He was also a great motivator. He had the ability, or has the ability, to make people do things that they would never in a million years consider doing. And it's also weird that he had a way to make you think it was your idea. I had a colleague, Dan Michael, he's like, it's a Jedi mind trick or something. Yeah. With his competitive nature, he was just able to get the best out of people. Not only a great coach, he would do anything for his wrestlers. He used his connections to make sure that we all got into good colleges. He helped me get my first job. And after that, he helped me get an assistant coaching job at Ohio University. And of course, that led me to get a master's degree. Several years later, I was still reaching out to him for advice, which led me to become a teacher. Thanks, Coach, for everything that you've done to help me. Finally, I just wanted to say, I'm kind of a modest person. I don't talk much about wrestling these days. And in some cases, I might be kind of a jerk because I haven't kept in touch with a lot of the people that did so much for me. I think it's important, though, that you realize I still think about you and I still appreciate everything you do or have done. The way I look at it, you know, the awards are great, but the thing that I'm most proud of is the traits that I learned through wrestling. I learned about persistence, determination, and mental toughness. Because of that, I know I can handle any challenge that I encounter. And I know Coach T used to say, nobody can take that away from you. So thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for everybody that helped me along the way. And thank you for this recognition.
I want to thank Dan and his family. We have 5 local Hall of Famers here tonight, but Dan made the trek from Maryland with his family, and I'm so grateful of his sacrifice, not only to be here this weekend, but also the sacrifice that he does each and every day in the classroom as well, too, as an educator. So, Dan, thank you very much for everything. One more round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Dan Willaman. Okay, a couple thank yous here before we go. First off, I want to put our hands together for our 7 student athletes on stage this evening. It's a Saturday night. It's Labor Day weekend. You can take Monday off. But at the same point, just the sacrifice they made to be here, you know, that takes that takes a special individual. In fact, we got 7 special individuals on the stage. So again, ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause for our 7 student athletes. I'd also like to thank those in attendance here this evening who are on our Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame committee. So if you are here, please stand for a moment to be recognized. Abby Alderding, Kim Cooksey, Bud Householder, Janet Peer, Tim Powell, and Kent Wida. To quote Garfield's AD last night when I went over after halftime to talk to him a little bit more, he said, "Oh my God, you could have spent the entire halftime on these 6. That was absolutely amazing what accomplishments these 6 have done." And he's right. So again, one more round of applause for our 6 Hoover High School class of 2022 inductees. Okay, a couple closing remarks before we conclude here this evening. First off, I've already told the inductees, you've got to stay for pictures, so we're going to do that right after I finish here. I would also like to take a moment, if we have any current Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame members in the stand or in the audience, please stand to be recognized. Some of you didn't stand. After we get the pictures with the current class of 2022, we ask that all Hoover Athletic Hall of Fame members please come up on stage so we can get a group photo of all of you as well. Finally, Sideliners is sponsoring a little get-together at Walther's Twin Tavern afterwards. I don't know if is there anything on TV tonight? I don't know. Maybe there is. But certainly all are welcome in attendance to attend that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony for this evening. Again, congratulations to the Hoover High School Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2022, and thank you for being with us this evening.